few months ago, I was talking with a day one listener, my friend Eric. We shared a lot of people that he'd like to listen to on the show, and aside from NFL coaches and mayors, he felt really strongly that having people in jobs that everyone could relate to would be an interesting angle to pursue. On a recent trip to LA for freestyle session and the Youth Breaking Championships, I bumped into a familiar face on my flight. After the flight, we had a chance to talk, and I felt like he'd be a great guest to have on the show. Rico, or BBoy Reksick as I knew him, is a longtime barber and much, much more here in Chicago. I was excited to get into this with him because it's personal for me in two ways. First, my grandfather, who passed before I ever got a chance to meet him, was a barber in New York. I know that's thin, but there is a little bit of family connection for me in this episode. Second, I grew up as one of very few black people in my schools where I spent most of my time. For example, my high school had only 3 black students out of 1,000 and actually had more black janitors than students. In elementary school and especially high school, the barbershop was really the only place where I was immersed in my own culture. The discussions, the laughs, the characters, and the overall atmosphere were always really eye-opening and really enjoyable, and gave me a glimpse into a community and a culture that I wasn't that familiar with from my day-to-day experiences growing up. Shout out to Mr. Montalvo and the crew from Cutter's Corner and Long Branch, Miss Louise, Mr. Ralph McGee, and Michelle. I know many are no longer with us, but the time I spent in those shops waiting forever to get in the chair was a big influence in my life. On that note, let's get into this episode with my friend Rico, aka BBoy Reksick. I want to welcome Rico to the podcast and ask, as always, for Rico to introduce himself to our audience. Rico, welcome. Can you introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Ricardo Cepeda, aka Rico. I am the owner of Calaveras Barbershop. I'm an owner, entrepreneur, actor, singer, songwriter. No, just barber, SMP artist, b-boy, DJ. Yeah, I'll probably have another couple of titles under there, but
a lot of my guests have a lot going on. You mentioned SMP artist. Can you describe what those letters mean for people who may not be familiar with it?
Sure. SMP stands for scalp micropigmentation. Basically what that is it's permanent cosmetics. It's a tattoo on your head for people that need a cover up on their head. Basically, like if they need a scar covered up, or if they need a density filled, maybe they're thinning, they need their skin a little darkened so it looks like a full head of hair. If you look up the word scalp micropigmentation, you'll pretty much get it. And that's something that I just started doing here at the barbershop.
Enrico, how would you say we know each other? I have my own version, but I'm curious what yours is.
I was introduced to your photos before I actually met you. I was, everyone's always going to breakdancing events or b-boy events and stuff. And I want to look for videos, see if I got some video on myself or somebody's taking pictures at the event. And, I just saw a lot of these pictures and I saw your name on it. I was like, well, who's this K-Bev guy? These pictures are sick, but I don't know who this is. But yeah, I was introduced to your pictures before I was actually introduced to you in physical form.
From my perspective, I knew your name and I had seen you at a bunch of jams, and I went back through my photos because I was trying to figure out when I first saw you, because I catalog everybody. And I have a picture of you from Justin's event at, I think, 1253 Arts in Inglewood, where he threw that Christmas jam, and you showed up in a Santa Claus costume.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, that was probably like 5 or 6 years ago. And then I also realized that I snapped you at Freestyle Session. You were probably maybe in the over 40 bracket last year.
Yeah.
And I have pictures of you battling.
Wow.
And I have to go back through my older archive because I'm sure before I knew who you were to tag the photos, I have photo of you at some jams. But we didn't meet in person really and get a chance to talk until actually just recently. We were getting on a plane. I think you saw my Stance hoodie that Daniel gave me, and you gave me props on your walk back. And then we talked for a few minutes when we landed, and I realized that you were actually going to be at Freestyle Session again, which is why I was in town. And I think that's really the first time we actually had a real conversation. And that's when I asked if you'd be interested in being on the pod.
Dude, that's crazy. That's crazy. Because, it was just, I mean, I met you a couple times, but like through some of the events over here. But yeah, to actually have a conversation with you and get to actually know what your name is, it was, I think it was Culture of Four when Aeronetic threw that Culture of Four at the Rhythm Hood Studios, and then officially on the plane. That's wild, dude. So
it's been years. Wild. It's been years. And speaking of putting faces with names, I always knew you as BBoy Reksick. And maybe
Yeah.
we could just take a minute at the beginning, because everybody who's familiar with the scene knows, just like a lot of other creative arts, people have sort of a performance name and a government name, as we like to say. Can you just talk a little bit about, what crew you're a part of and how you got the name Reksick? Because I have my own theory on what it meant, but I don't know that that's actually accurate.
Okay. Rexic, part of Them Bad Apples crew, officially TBA crew out of Aurora. They've been a Four Elements crew out of Aurora since the 80s, and I got down with them back in early 90s. Yeah, it was a couple of us, me, Spinister, Rapid Fire, Omega. At that time, it was Smoke was one of the original members too.
I knew Them Bad Apples. I don't think I put you in that crew, but is that the crew that gave you your name Reksick?
So the crew that gave me my name Rexic was there's my crewmate Lalo, DJ Sunrise out of Joliet. I'm from Joliet, so we had originally had a b-boy crew, J Town Rockers out in Joliet, which was like another we had like another side crew called LSB, Low Salary Bastards. It was a real small group of people out in Joliet. So I Lalo DJ Sunrise was one of the original members of that crew, and he gave me that name because uh, so I was really flexible, and he's just like, man, you don't you eat a lot, but you're like anorexic, so I'm just gonna call you Rexic because I was really skinny, doing all these crazy bendable moves and went breaking, and that's it, Rexic. And he grabbed my head and started shaking me all crazy, and that's how that happened. And I didn't like that name. I hated that name. But when I got down with CBA, there was a bunch of MCs in the crew, and they kind of started doing a little bit of wordplay with the name, and they came up with Rexic, meaning Rexic. Because I get ill when I rock. Rocking is as another term of like getting down, dancing. So it's like I got sick moves. It just the wordplay on it was sick. It was good. It actually like changed my mind on that name.
And I know the Ketrek Creatives, one of the graph crews here in Chicago, I think with Miss Chia and a few others. And
Yeah,
I always assumed Rexic was a combination of you wreck shop when you're battling, and sick because you
yeah,
had sick moves. I had no idea that it came from not to disrespect or trigger people with eating disorders or anything like that, but I had no idea that was the origin. I always
right.
thought it was a wordplay of.
Yeah, that's exactly how it came out. That's exactly what it is. Because these guys are like, man, I can't believe you eat all this food and you're just so anorexic. So I'm like, dude, I'm not, I don't do that. But so that's why I didn't like it. But after a while, the MCs in our crew were just like, we need to fix this name for you. So they rocking every known style in Circle Chaos. I'm like, because I was able, back then we were just battle mentality. We'll battle anybody. So yeah, that's how it came out. Rocking every known style in Circle Chaos.
Rico, I want to get into your role as a barber and your career as a barber. And what was your first exposure or taste of being a barber? How did you get your start?
The exposure to the barber community was back when I was younger. We had a guy in Joliet. He was an Italian guy, Ragusa. I used to go to him for years and years and years, but my mom pretty much set me up for this thing because I have two younger brothers, and we're always getting our haircuts. When we were younger, our hair grows real fast, so she just couldn't keep up with it. So every 2 weeks, we're getting our haircuts. She's like, yeah, you know what? This is starting to become expensive at the time, even though this was like in the 80s. It was three kids going every 2 weeks to get their haircuts
Mm-hmm.
to a single mom. She's like, yeah, I need to figure this out. So she went to Kmart and brought me a pair of clippers, and she says, get to work. You're the oldest one. So that's how I was exposed to it. And I told her I didn't like to do it. I didn't want to do it. And once I tried it, I was hooked.
Did you do
That's
your
how
brothers justice, or did you send them to school looking crazy those first couple times?
oh man, I did two haircuts. The first one and the buzz cut. So that's pretty much how they went to school. All buzz cuts. We didn't have YouTube at the time, so I'm just trying to do whatever I think I could do.
And when you alluded to it a little bit earlier, but do you have memories of going to the shop when you were younger? Did you look at those guys and study what they were doing, and then when your mom finally hooked you up, you were like, finally my moment is here? Like what was it like when you had the clippers the first time versus when you had been going and observing those guys?
The first time, well, I've always liked, I don't know, I've always been attracted to the barber culture. So going to the barber shop was pretty much my, even though it was my childhood, it was like I got to see the adults, like how they interacted with each other, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, the camaraderie. It's just like a bonding experience. And at that time, you're just a young kid. You don't know what's going on at the barbershop, just people getting their haircut. But it's also like, oh man, I saw my uncle was here and my dad's friends was here. And like, you get to see all these people in the barbershop. So that was my first exposure to it. I just like being surrounded by friendly, comfortable, the barbershop's supposed to be friendly and comfortable. And, you got all these key players in here, people that business. It was just a good, friendly, comfortable experience. And then when I picked up the clippers the first time, when my mom gave me that first set, it was I didn't want to do it, but you're not going to like anything until you try it. So once I tried it, that very first haircut, I knew that I wasn't going to be able to put these things down, because it's like, oh, I know what this is now. This is a good experience. A bonding. It's a way to bond with your family members or your friends or whatever. But yeah, I just like this. So if you hey man, I'm gonna cut your hair today. If I mess up, don't be mad at me, because this is a free haircut. So they're like, nah, it's cool, man. Just cut my hair right here on the sides. It was a good feeling, and I just wanted to keep going with it. It was good.
When did you know it was your calling or what you were supposed to be doing? It sounds like it was a good feeling early on. My guess is you were cutting your brother's hair and hooking up a few friends here and there. But when did it become something where you were like, oh, this could actually be a thing, and I could actually make money doing this instead of just hooking up my friends for free?
In the beginning, for me, it was just a hobby. I wasn't doing this for money. It was just like, hey, my boy JR is coming over. I used to work at this credit reporting agency out in San Diego, in Poway, California, when I lived across. It was just like a way. All the B-boys were at Cross's house, and I would just cut everybody's hair over there. And people started to notice, a lot of the people that were working there. They were like, hey, man, can you hook me up with like a beard trim? Or like, I was doing a lot of designs and stuff in my beard,
Mm-hmm.
because it was just, this is early 2000s.
That's right.
You're gonna see like Sean Paul was big, and all these other artists were big, and they're like doing all these beard designs. Method Man, it's just crazy. I was like, yeah, you know what, man, I'm gonna do some designs and figure it out on myself first, and then those people at the credit reporting agency, they were asking me, hey man, can you hook me up with a beard design? I'm going out Friday, and then people just started coming to my house when I lived out there in my apartment, and I was giving everybody beard designs and haircuts at the house, and they started giving me money for it. So that's pretty much where it started. But man, it evolved. Uh, it really, really evolved when I came back from San Diego to Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
I had the Armory Chicago. I had a skateboard shop up north in Albany Park for a while, and at that time, when I came back, I really just didn't take it. I mean, I took it serious. I was taking, people were paying me money and stuff, but and I was posting a lot of stuff online. But once I had that skateboard shop, I started cutting hair in the back. So I'm doing these haircuts at my skateboard shop, and just, hey, making some side money in the back. Just, I had enough of a studio space. I'm like, hey, why not? Let's do some haircuts in the back, chill, hang out at the bar. We're gonna be at the skate shop anyways till 3, 4 in the morning. Might as well just try to make some money on the side. But
And so, are
and
you
then it
are you official at this point, or with a license, or are you just hooking people up in the back of the store like my guy Marcel used to do in our dorm bathroom?
that man, we did that for a long time. But no, I'm official now. I've had my barbershop now for it's going to be 10 years in May 2026. Will be 10 years here. Yeah, I got my license. Yeah, 10 years ago. Yep.
So,
So it's official.
was this wasn't necessarily the first space that you had as an official studio? You mentioned the story, the Armory. You also were telling me a story about your landlord hooking you up with like your first studio space, your first barber shop, so to speak. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, that was the very first. That was the official one, because so after the Armory, I went and I became a flight attendant for about 7 years. I was living right off the California Blue Line, right on Fullerton and Mozart, across the street from another barbershop in the area, right across the street. I moved right across the street from that barbershop, and my landlord at the time, he didn't like those guys. So he says, "Hey, I know you're a barber, so I got a bunch of empty apartments that we're renovating. So if you want, I can set you up with a little studio space, or if you want a little studio space in your apartment, and then you could just give me a free haircut." Because he didn't want a lot of people at the building, but I kept telling him like, "Hey, I'm a flight attendant and a barber. I always have people around me, so there's no way that you can't not have people around me because I'm cutting everybody's hair, and I'm always doing like, 10, 15
Hmm.
people a day when I'm out working at the airline. So I said, look, how about this? I'll give you a free haircut if you allow me to have all these people coming in and out of your building. And you got the cameras here so you can still see what's going on. So he agreed to it, and that was it, man. I
And
started cutting everybody.
and did people coming in and out turn out to be the long term solution, or were there other problems with people coming in and out of the building beyond the landlord?
It was a good idea at the time, but there was too many people coming to the house, and so he kind of got a little nervous about that because there was people coming in and out. But the other thing was my partner at the time, she used to work from home, so uh, there were so many people there that it was starting to become a distraction. And she's like, "Hey, I work from home. You got all these people here. Everyone's eating out the refrigerator, and I'm making all this food." And I was like, "Hey, you're not complaining when when the money's coming in. I'm buying all these groceries for everybody." And but yeah, she was like, "I'm gonna give you an ultimatum. It's either you find a barber shop to work at that will hire you to, even though I'm unlicensed barber at the time, or you're going to go to school and just start your own barbershop because there's just way too many people here, and I can't work like this." So luckily I was working at the airlines and they were flexible with time, and it just started from there. So she she gave me the ultimatum, and I went for it, man. I said, "Yeah, you know what? I was kind of nervous at the time, but your goals are not big enough if you're not scared
And so
to do them."
you go to school while you're working. I think you mentioned when we were preparing that you also worked at three different barbershops cutting hair. How did you end up in your current shop? Because you have a space now. You mentioned you've been there 10 years, and what's tell me about the current spot.
The spot that I'm at now, my barbershop's called Calaveras Barbershop in SMP, formerly Joe's Hair Studio. Joe's Hair Studio is one of the oldest Puerto Rican barbershops in Humboldt Park, Logan Square area. So this place has been here since '67. So when I took over, it was 50 years in the game at this barbershop already. So Joe's Hair Studio is one of the oldest barbershops in Chicago. I found this place ditching barber school. I used to live down the street on Spalding and Bloomingdale, and I was riding around one day, and I just saw these old guys working in here. It's like, you know what? That'd be a cool little barber shop to just learn from, because there were just these two guys are in here early in the morning. I'm like, man, I just want to go in. So I grew up hair, came inside, asked the owner, "Hey, is it cool if I watch you guys cut hair? Because I'm in barber school right now." And he said, "Yeah, come on in." So that was it.
And then how did he hand over the shop? Because it sounds like he's not there anymore. It's your shop.
Yeah, so what happened is this guy Joe Gonzalez he was looking for somebody at the time to take over the barbershop because they were already 50 years into the game, and he was already having some complications with standing up. And once I came in from barber school, it's like, "Hey, I'm still at barber school and I'm working at these other shops. If you want some help, I could come in and help you out." So what happened is once we started talking and being cool with each other, "Yeah, bring your in here, bring your shirt, and I want you to cut hair." And we just kept building relations. And he hit after the third month, he hit me with another ultimatum. "Hey, I'm gonna close up shop. That's it. I'm done cutting hair. I found my person to take over the shop, which is you." And I'm like, "I don't want to take over this barbershop. This is not what I want to do. I don't know anything about owning a barbershop." And he says, "If you don't take over this barbershop, this old man's going to lose his job, and you're not going to be able to work here anymore. So it's either you take the barbershop or find another place to work." So he says, I trusted him. He said, "I'll show you the ropes. I'll show you how to run this place." And yeah, within that third month of just working here, then yeah, he basically gave me the shop, and I was not even out of barber school yet. So that's what happened. It was wild.
It's a hell of a blessing.
Yeah, man. And then I got to keep that old man that was working here. He says, "Just keep this guy happy and keep him busy, and he'll take care of you. You take care of him." So that's really how it happened, man. That's really how it happened. And I still have some of the older clientele from Joe. Then they'll say the same thing. It was wild. They still get the haircut here too.
Rico, I want to get into what's special to you about being a barber. What's a good place to start?
I would probably say the best place to start is the consultation. A lot of the people that come here to get their haircut would be word of mouth, or they're looking at Google reviews or something like that. Most of the time it's a lot of people, just the walk-in traffic. A lot of people are new to the neighborhood. They're walking around, they see a barber shop, and then boom. So I think the community first. Without these guys, I don't think this barber shop would have lasted this long, even through all the crazy stuff too. So yeah, I think to start, it would be the community.
And tell me more about the community. What does that shop mean? It's been there for, at this point, probably over 60 years now. What do the shop and the community have in common as you're sort of doing your work there and having people come in and out, all week?
Well, besides that, we share the same neighborhood. We're also sharing a lot of the same businesses, restaurants and bars in the area, or novelty shops. Or we're also sharing, the experiences, what's going on in the neighborhood. It's like the shop, I guess, basically turned into like the unofficial internet. It's the internet, but without being on the internet. Like, people come in here all the time and just share news or what's going on in the neighborhood. Hey, did you see what happened last night around Albany and Armitage or whatever? Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, okay, cool. So we share a lot of the same experiences. I have a lot of my neighbors. They come here get a haircut. It's very a really close knit community for sure.
Last year I had on a friend from England, and he was talking about pub culture in England, and he was like, it would just become the place you would go. Like, if you were looking for someone growing up, you'd stop by the pub and see if anybody knew where they were, because they didn't have cell phones or whatnot. And it sounds a
Yes.
little bit like people just come to the shop to
Yes.
catch up on news, or hey, have you seen, where's Rico today? I haven't seen him in a couple of days. Where's he at? Is that kind of what you're talking about?
That's exactly what I'm talking about. Because, man, it's the internet in this place, man. People want to find out information. They just come to the barbershop. When I was a flight attendant, I'm gonna bring this up because I tell a lot of my clients or my guests that come in here, hey, if you want to know anything about the city that you're going in, you'll go to the barbershop, and they'll tell you everything from like bars to go to, places to eat, places to sleep, places. They know everything. Everybody knows everything because they're all from. They've been if they've been in that neighborhood for a long time, they're or in that barbershop a long time. They know everything and they know everybody. It's wild.
The thing that got me
It's
was growing up, going to the barber shop, the TV was on. It wasn't just the barbers that would participate in those conversations. It was like everybody waiting to get their haircut. It was like one big group conversation. I might come in and
Yeah,
ask you a question, and somebody else will just chime in and say, "Oh no, you don't go there, go here." Is it the same type of vibe in your shop? Is it one big community of people just helping each other out?
same exact. You pinpointed it. That's the perfect description. Calaveras barbershop in S&P, culturally diverse barbershop in Logan Humboldt Park area. There's so many different people that come in here. I mean, if you need to know anything, you just go to the barbershop. It's very I kind of remember that vibe that I got when I used to go to Ragusa's and all these familiar faces were in the shop. I kind of wanted to keep it like the vibe like that. So, we're playing good music. Sometimes you're going to get jazz, sometimes you get hip hop. It just depends on who's in here. I'm a DJ too, so I'll cater to whoever's in the barbershop. I'll read the crowd. But yeah, you're getting a lot of neighborhood folks in here, and complete strangers come in here and just hang out. And it's been like that even with the other shop when I had the armory. It's the same. I try to keep the same vibe in here where it's like you don't want to be it's so diverse in here. You want to cater to everybody. So the music, the smells in the barbershop, the conversations in the barbershop, or like people start clowning on each other in the barbershop, which is another, like, I don't know if it's a
Mm-hmm.
Chicago thing too, but when you walk in, if they're so comfortable in here that even if they don't know you, they'll start clowning you. Like, oh, you need to go out and change them shoes and come back in because that's all wrong right there. Yeah, it's still like that, man. It's comfortable in here, man. It's when before I took over, Joe called this place the House of Peace, and he was right, man, because I still inherited like a lot of the old characters and a lot of new characters, and everybody just kind of meets up at the barbershop because they know I guess it's like a safe zone in here too. So, no one's being disrespectful or they're being mindful of others for sure. And but it's also very, very like, I like this place. This place is cool, man. I always get a laugh. If you look at those Google reviews, you'll see the music is good, the vibe is good, and the conversation is they're pretty hilarious.
Rico, thanks for sharing a little bit about the shop itself and what it means to be kind of a pillar and a constant pillar, generational pillar, if you will, in the community. But I also know from personal experience that you end up building a relationship with the person cutting your hair because you see them regularly. You share what's going on in your life. A lot of times I would go in and get my cut before something big was coming up. I got a big trip or an anniversary or a birthday, and I want to look fresh for that. When I was growing up, my barber
Mm-hmm.
shop was right up the street from this girl I was trying to impress, 35 years ago, who turned out now to be my wife. So I'd go get my cut and then just casually stroll by,
Yeah,
knowing I was looking clean. But the question that I have for you is that also part of what's special too about being a barber? You get to know people and almost become a part of their lives, whether you ask for it or not.
yeah, it's exactly what happens. I mean, you have to be willing to accept that that's what's going to happen. I mean, to become a, not only become a good barber and learn how to cut really good hair, that's not even half of it. Like cutting somebody's hair really good is and keeping that customer is not even half of what it is. You really have to learn how to adapt to people's personalities or situations, or maybe they're throwing off different vibes, and you just have to be willing to accept that there's all types of different people. And the way to become a good barber or and keep your client is you have to just accept that these things are gonna come across your way, and you just have to be willing to accept that, hey, you might become really good friends with this person because they keep coming back, and you just become part of their family, like an extended family. And like, hey, man, like now I have so many friends from this barbershop. It's crazy, man. Like to become a really great barber, you have to accept that there's going to be all different types of people. Besides cutting good hair, you just learn to understand that people are here, they need help, or they need a friend to talk to, or you just become like a therapist, or it's just, yeah, there, you just have to be open with all your people and just not put any judgment on anybody.
And in the last 10 years, I mean, your shop has been through a lot, right? I mean, we had a pandemic in there. We had the unrest associated with that. Right now, people who are outside Chicago may not realize, but ICE is running around in Humboldt Park and Logan Square, which has a heavily Latino population. Are people bringing that type of weight to the chair when they come into the shop?
Yeah, they're bringing all kinds of situations. People are scared right now. This is the new big bad experience because this barbershop's been here for so long. They're we they've survived. This barbershop survived so much, and lately, since 2000, since 2020, we've had the riots, we'd had COVID, and now we're dealing with ICE and possible economical gloom right now because of government shutdowns and SNAP benefits being taken away. It's so hard to get a job. Yeah, they're dropping a lot of stuff on me over here at the barbershop, and I don't even need to turn on the TV to find out the news. I just step inside the barbershop, and we're all talking about some deep and heavy stuff. And that's something that I had to learn how to do, is to kind of put my own beliefs aside for a little bit, because it just seems like there's a lot of heavy stuff being dropped on me. And uh, me as the older brother, I always been taught you got to help your people or help your family members. I'm glad that I learned these skills early on in life with helping, because now I help people every day. I'm like an unofficial therapist, so yeah, I try to, people dropping heavy stuff on me, like financial stress. They lost their jobs, or they're going through like relationship situations with COVID, and it's nonstop. With anything you could think of, like any type of hardships you could think of, I've heard everything in the shop, for sure.
Rico, as we start to close, I just wanted to give you a chance to share anything else that was special about the work you're doing at Calaveras.
I'm trying to transform people's feelings, man, and boost confidence, boost self-esteem from breaking my own personal experience from breaking, I was you're doing a lot of movement on your head, and I was starting to thin. My hair was starting to thin when I was younger, like around 22, 23. Besides trying to change people's hairstyles and making them feel better, I also jumped into another service called scalp micropigmentation, and that's basically a transformation of the scalp using tattoo tools for permanent cosmetic purposes. So I'm basically giving people a little bit of life back and some security back with their hairlines and their bald spots and their scars and density fills and their thinning hair. I actually had a couple clients just from cutting hair. We always have conversations about this, and hey, I'm thinning or I got a receding hairline, or I'm losing my hair. Anything you could do? Like, is there, they're taking all these growth growth pills, hair growth pills, and it's not working once they stop using it. So I lost my hair completely. Well, I just started shaving my head bald completely right before I left the airlines back in 2015. I just started shaving my head, and
And was that because you were losing hair, or because it wasn't growing in, or what was happening?
yeah, from breaking, I started losing my hair. Spinning on your head and sliding on your side of your head or stuff. And you're putting all that pressure, 100 plus pounds of pressure on this little spot on the top of your head from head spins or head tracks or babies or whatever. Yeah, so from breaking, I started losing my hair. I was trying to figure out a way to get my hair to grow back, but then at the same time, I started liking the bald look. So my friend actually introduced me to scalp micropigmentation from some people that she found online. She calls me up and says, "Hey, you still doing that stipple art or that pointillism?" Because that's like another little side hobby that I'm a hobby hoarder. If you can't tell, uh, that's my other title, hobby hoarder. I've been doing stipple art for a while, or pointillism, and so my friend calls me and she says, "Hey, I think I found something you can jump into, and to fix your hair." So I actually got scalp micropigmentation done by my friends from the West Coast. They had a shop out here. I learned this skill from them, and they actually, they were like, "Hey, why don't you just come? If you own barber shops, this would be perfect for you because this will just be another thing under your belt." So it's a little bit of a confidence booster for some people too. So you're already dealing with situations at the shop with uh self-esteem and people thinning and all this stuff. This would be perfect because it's working for us and it'll work for you. So I jumped in, took the class with them, and started practicing, and now we do it official here at the barbershop.
And so I want to
So
back
that's
up a
what
second right there. Hold on, because you said
hmm?
you had it done on your own head.
I have it done. Yeah,
Because
yeah,
I have seen you a bunch of times, sometimes with the spin cap on, but a lot of times without. And I actually was really surprised. I didn't expect it to look so natural. It looks like my hair, honestly. It looks like you just sort of shaved your head bald. Do
yeah.
people notice? Like, I don't see you that often, but do people in your circle notice and immediately go, "Wait, what'd you do to your head?"
You know what? You might see me with a lot of hats on, but I hate wearing hats. I don't like wearing hats. But my self-esteem was so low from my balding or my thinning actually that I just started wearing hats, and that was just part of my character now. But now I had the scalp micropigmentation done, and it's so natural. It looks so natural that shout out to my boy Cat out in LA. He's my artist, my SMP artist. But it looks so natural that I've been dating my partner now for almost 3 years now, and the first 8 months that I've been dating her, she had no idea that this was a tattoo on my head.
So
That's how good the work is.
does the rest of your hair grow in and you have to keep that cut, or did you get your whole scalp done?
I got my whole scalp done, but I do let the hair grow out just a little bit, so it does look like you just got a fresh ball fade. So you can still see and feel the stubble on your hair, but you have to keep your hair nice and uh, cleaned up on the sides and lined up and everything. And I swear it doesn't. No one will ever know that you have this thing done. It's if you got the right artist, it's impossible for these guys to figure out that wow, that's a tattoo. I thought it was just a really clean bald fade, and like a number, like a half or a one on the top. So it's really it's unbelievable the work or the look that you can achieve with scalp micropigmentation. It's not It's not hair growth, like what, hair plugs or none of that stuff. It's just a tattoo machine, some pigment, a nice pattern on the top of your head with the machine, getting a tattoo, and it's permanent. And it's crazy because it looks real. It actually looks real.
Rico, I imagine, with your SMP clients, but also just your haircutting barbershop clients, because you've known these folks oftentimes probably for years and probably know their kids and their relatives at this point, do you see a difference in them after SMP or after they come in and get lined up for the big event or the big holiday or graduation?
Yeah, their first reaction is their eyes get really, really big, and they still can't, and they're just looking at themselves in the mirror like, I shaved 10 pounds off my body, or I should shave 10 years off of my appearance. It's like losing weight at the gym, or buying a fresh suit that you didn't know you could fit, or having that suit that you bought years ago and didn't know that you could fit into, and it just fits like a glove. It's definitely an eye opener, because your self esteem just goes. You just get the self esteem boost. Maybe you were shy to talk in front of people because you know you think the focus would be on your bald scalp, or maybe try to find a date or something. I mean, I've always been good with confidence. Like I felt like I had the gift of gab, so I'm okay with that. But when you start wanting to go into an event or something and you don't want to wear a hat, you're like, oh man, I gotta do this again. So yeah, it's just definitely a mood changer. You're just I can't say anything bad about it. It's just when my clients get it done, their eyes are bug eyed like this, and their jaws are dropping, and they're just like, I can't believe it, and they stare at themselves for like 20, 30 minutes before I can get it. Like, hey man, I got another guy coming in, man, you got to get out of here. Because
Man.
only because like I was like that when I first got it done. Like, I can't believe this is crazy. And my moms and my brothers are like, wow, you look like you're like 10 years younger right now.
Man,
So
that's awesome to hear, man. I want to thank you for coming on the podcast today. This was a relatively short notice ask during a busy time of year as people get ready for their Thanksgiving family reunions and holiday family things. And I know you always have people coming by the shop, and you made time for not just this conversation, but the prep call on your day off. Thank you for joining today.
for sure,
And it
for
really means
sure.
a lot to me to be able to get to know a little bit of Rico, because I've only known BBoy Reksick for many years now.
For sure, man. No, it was, man. You know how we do, man. I was gonna look out for you. I always look out for you. It was a pleasure, man. My pleasure, for sure. I don't really get a chance to talk about all the crazy stuff I do, but this was definitely a great experience, and I'm glad that I got to share this with you and meet you on it. It was thanks, Daniel, for giving you that hoodie, because
I know without that stance hoodie, you would have just walked right by that brother who was locked into
I
some
would
trash TV on his phone while we were boarding that
you
flight.
were you were locked in, dog.
Bad TV. All right, man. Thanks for joining. I'll talk to you later.
For sure, man. Thank you. Appreciate you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of My Home is Special. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast to get future episodes automatically. You can go to myhomeisspecial.com to see the full project and sign up for email updates. Be sure to follow KBevPhoto on Instagram, or go to kbevphoto.com to see what I'm snapping these days. There's a lot on both to explore. For now, this is Keith, aka KBev, signing off. Peace.